Hello, everyone, and welcome to Into the Wastelands, the Eternal Army, episode 5? Yes, it is episode 5. Thank you for joining us for an evening of Dungeons & Dragons. I'm Niall, and I'll be your Dungeon Master tonight. We're thrilled to be streaming at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. For all of you who are new to Dungeons & Dragons, basically, it's a really fun game where we all play fantasy characters, all with fantasy characters. And wait, did I just say fantasy characters twice? Yes. We all play fantasy characters in a fantasy universe is what I was trying to say. And then each of us has our own unique character with unique skills and things that they want, things that they need. And then basically they roll these wonderful 20-sided dice to see whether or not they can achieve these goals and do well at their skills. 20s are usually good, 1s are usually bad. That's how we roll. Whilst they all play these wonderful characters, my job is to be the DM, Dungeon Master, and I will play everything else, whether it be sandstorms or weird mantis purple things or people on camelback. There's a few references to last episode for you. But between us, we'll all create this wonderful story for you to hopefully enjoy. Speaking of wonderful people creating wonderful stories, we have some wonderful people right here. Would we like to introduce our names, our pronouns, our characters' names, the characters' pronouns, and then how they're feeling? We're getting to nearly halfway through the 12-parter. How are they feeling so far? Feeling good, feeling positive, feeling hopeful, feeling just completely lost in despair of this existential crisis that they're currently having, not looking at anyone in particular. Mike, would you like to kick us off?
Hey, are we talking about Mike or the character?
Oh, well, I know you too well, so let's not get into that one.
Hi, I'm Mike. I use he, him, and I'm playing Jamie, who uses she, her. And I feel like there's like a lot to unpack over the next things, but not just to do with Jamie. Like, I'm really intrigued by all of the different little backstory snippets that we've been slowly picking up as we've been going along, and I have thoroughly enjoyed just been putting them in a box for like quite a lot of the things. It's just like, yeah, that sounds like we'll work that one out later.
We're all going to move into like a therapy house and unpack all our boxes soon, yes.
The way Malice is going, he'll need it.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Hannah.
Yes, that's me, and my pronouns are she, her, and I play Protea, and she also uses the same pronouns as me, which is convenient. Protea is actually having a fucking baller time for the simple reason that she's on her first adventure out that's like she's a full member of a party for, and is making some friends, is painting some nails, is slowing down some praying mantises, and is slightly disconcerted by a child with a moral compass. But so far, everything is pretty decent. She hasn't got too badly hurt or in trouble, and really, apart from Vega nearly dying at the very beginning, neither has anybody else in the party. So it could be worse.
There's still time.
There's still time.
Evie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Evie, and I'm the coolest person in this chat. No, that's a bold-faced lie. I'm sorry.
I second it. I think you're cool.
You're not supposed to agree.
Oh,
damn it.
Oh, you're
So
uncool.
are we doing the therapy now, or are we doing
Quick, keep going.
Yes, I'm Evie. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm playing Malice Facile, who uses he, him pronouns. And Malice, although he has literally been going on a journey through the desert, has also been on a journey of self-discovery, and is really trying to find himself at this time now that he's kind of on his own devices with an adventuring party for the first time. He is frequently having a bit of an existential crisis, with moments of enlightenment and tranquility just sprinkled in there, like the croutons on a soup.
Yeah, accurate. Yeah, I like that. Croutons on a soup for enlightenment. I like it.
Yeah. Enlightenment croutons and on an existential soup.
Beautiful. I'm hungry now. G.
Hi, I'm G. I use he, him pronouns, and I'm playing Vega, who also uses he, him pronouns. I think at the moment Vega's a bit like Protea is just quite enjoying himself. Didn't expect, came looking for more of the same kind of fighting in competition that he's used to, so this wasn't kind of quite what I expected, but he's quite enjoying adventuring with a party, which is a new thing too. So.
Beautiful.
Let's get into it.
Veracity, Rebecca, I just called you Veracity. That was
dear.
Wow.
It's probably
What does that
fair.
mean?
Hi, I'm Rebecca Niall, and I play Veracity. We both use she, her pronouns. I think Veracity's flagging a little. She's trying to keep her usual bouncy, enthusiastic self, but she's a little tired of monsters repeatedly jumping out of them and then needing to set them all on fire. She loves the setting on fire, but there's a lot of monsters. She's a little disconcerted by how many of her party can't cope with really basic levels of fundamental morality. And then I do have a note in my character sheet that says, talk to Jamie about tentacles and skin ripping.
Yeah, that was
So
fun.
she is, getting a little lonely, maybe.
Nice. Well, thank you very much for sharing some stuff about your characters. I feel like we're getting a little bit more insight into how they're feeling right now. And before we do kick off, the stream will run for about 3 hours. There'll be roughly about a 5 to 10 minute break somewhere in the middles. And we're delighted to be sponsored by multiple sponsors, the first of which is Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers a wonderful, fully customizable tabletop miniature with dozens of fantasy races and thousands of parts to choose from. Their easy-to-use design tools lets you build your perfect miniature online using a fully 3D in-depth character creator right in your web. A lot of people use them as character art as well. It's a wonderful system that they got built there. Hero Forge is constantly expanding their catalog of customization options, so there's always something new to check out. So do check them out. 100% can recommend to a friend. Go check out heroforge.com. We're also delighted to be sponsored by Ultra Pro. Get your tabletop organized with these wonderful character folios, dice bags, there's notepads. They've got everything rocking. It's absolutely cool. They're the leading purveyor of sports and gaming collectible accessories. They're just the best. And if you join us in Twitch chat today, you could potentially win a gift voucher. And these can be given out all over the world. So just type something into chat and you'll be entered into a random draw. So head to ultrapro.com. We're also sponsored by the wonderful Elderwood Academy, who are the premium purveyor of bespoke gaming-themed gear, including hex chest dice boxes, spellbook deck boxes, and rolling trays disguised as these bespoke ancient arcane tomes, and scrolls and codexes that are dice towers and rolling tray pairings. They're really fucking cool. You can currently get 10% of your Elderwood purchase discounted with a code roll-together, all caps, at the checkout. So head to elderwoodacademy.com, use the code, get some cool stuff. We're also supported by D&D Beyond, your guide to digital D&D, and you can see everyone's character sheets on the overlay, so check out character sheets. We're also supported by Level Up Dice. There's a link in chat for our massive table shaker ranges, which are about the size of your fist. We're also supported by 2 lovely D&D video games, Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms and Warriors of Waterdeep. So you can see some codes at the bottom of the screen, hopefully. Woo, magic. You can type !Idle Champions and !Warriors of Waterdeep in Twitch chat to download these games. And then Idle Champions is a code, it's !code, and you'll get a code that you can get from Twitch that gives you a nice chest box, a gold chest. Whereas for Warriors of Waterdeep, you type !Wow gems, and then you get a link for some gems, but you will need to be doing it on the device that you have access to, Warriors of Waterdeep. Otherwise, you won't get the sweet gems, and we all know how you want the sweet gems, so get the sweet gems. We are Roll Together RPG on all socials. There'll be links in chat, so do like, follow, and subscribe. A massive thank you to our D20 Club on Patreon, the lovely dice heads. So you can find a link in chat, and that'll help us make these wonderful shows from $1, £1, and you can unlock more tiers by joining us. Our shows are also available as podcasts, so just search Roll Together RPG on any of your favorite podcasting apps. Finally, We play with a diverse group of players who play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are trans and GNC positives, and we encourage and champion trans and GNC players and DMs and characters in our games. The DMs and players may portray characters that are of a different gender to their own. We aim to avoid misgendering, but do acknowledge that it does happen. We have a company policy in place for correcting people on pronouns, but if we miss an instance of misgendering, we are open to being corrected. So please do let us know if you think one has been missed. But for now, let's begin. Episode 5, baby! So, we find ourselves on the edge of a sandstorm in the middle of nowhere. How did we get here, you ask? Well, you should probably have watched the last 4 episodes, but for those of you who didn't, I will catch you up. Our wonderful Protea's predators have gathered together after completing a job to find... Sorry, your face has really made me really enjoy that more than I should have. Complete a job finding an Orchard that was attacking a northern trade route. But instead of the Orchard, what they did find was a bunch of goblinoids led by the wonderful King Rulvuk, who was part of a kingdom far, far away in the Wastelands near Karatur. He said that he had come on the sort of premise of a fake prophecy he made up to appease the zealous religious cult that had formed in his city. He asked you guys to basically go along with him, and thankfully you did. You collected some magic items from your bounty and have headed into the Wastelands. Once into the Wastelands, you've traveled for many days, mainly in sandstorm. It's not been nice, but you guys have made it through. You bumped into a nomad traveler who, after offering loads of different trinkets, actually gave you something useful which you bought from him, which was to help with the general wasteland travel. Once, he also gave you a handy tip of advice to avoid large purple worms, which you so cleverly did. You found yourself in a cave, but were unfortunately attacked by other creatures. You once blowing up with lots of fire, slashing in half and basically punching the crap out of all of these monsters. I'd say quite easily. You very much tore through them like cotton candy. After doing that, you eventually wandered onto your final day of travel into another sandstorm where you came across a large stone tower. It is at the stone tower doors that we find our heroes. The sandstorm's still whipping around you guys, but unmistakably, there is just this lone tower in the middle of this desert. It's almost sunken partly into the sand. And there is a doorway, and you can see that, you'll have to give it a bit of a tug, but there's this large tower about 60 foot, no, it'd be about 100 foot high.
Can I check its vibes?
And what are you looking for?
I think that, has she read anything about how suspicious are lone towers in the middle of... Is this in Ozymandias King of Kings, but the, one stone trunk in the desert?
I'd say you can make a history check, but it'll be very hard. You'd have to be a DC 25, which I think you can do.
Yeah, I did. So
there you go.
Is 26.
Nice.
Well. Even when one sets hard DCs, one must accept that players can roll fucking high.
With a +8,
With a +8? +8. Okay, let me find. So, you look upon this tower, and it is quite peculiar. And then you sort of like gaze back into your little mind palace and remember all the different things that you've read and thought of before. And there are a group of wizards that you'd heard tale of before now, called the Circle of Eight. And many famous wizards have been known to be part of this group. Mordekainen, Bigby, Tenser, Leomund. And one of the things that they used to have was these towers that flitted in and out of the multiverse. And they would come to them. They basically had an enchantment on them that meant whenever they needed them, they would appear as part of help. You remember that Leomund lost his. And apparently it can be spotted throughout the multiverse, popping up when random adventurers might need some shelter.
I don't want to alarm anybody, but I think we've just found Leomund's lost tower.
Does that mean anything to anyone else?
Okay. A really cool wizard, like really famous wizard, like one of the Circle of Eight, like big deal of a wizard. And he lost his tower, but it's for travelers who need shelter, and it's cool.
Or do you lose a tower?
Yeah.
They sort of blink in and out. It's a thing.
Blink out if we're in it.
But it's supposed to be an area of sanctuary and respite, and wouldn't be very good if it did that.
But that's good enough for me. I will head for the door.
I would say that you remember that each wizard had a different name for their tower. Mordekainen was called the Tower of Funnily enough, Leomund's was called the Tower of Rum, which you think he might have thought was funny at the time, but maybe not so much when he'd lost it.
Why have you told me this, DM?
Just because it's funny.
It is. Great.
Just a little fun fact for you. He was probably a little bit of a drunkard.
Thank you. There might be booze.
So, do you enter?
I'll follow behind Protea and Vega.
Cool. You get to the door and the sand is holding it shut a little bit, so you'll have to give it a bit of a push. An athletics check, one might say.
Since I'm a monk, can it be acrobatics?
You will backflip into the door.
You know what? I feel like it makes no sense, really, does it? But you are right. Since you are a monk, you should probably be able to use acrobatics.
Cool. 24.
Holy guacamole.
Protea, you probably get to the door and you're like, oh, it's a little heavy. And then you're like, oh, you like come in and you're like, no. This is just the way you do it. And you like hold the door handle, put your hand up against the door and you just shift it upwards and then pull it open.
I've been trying to pull a push door or something.
Yeah, potentially.
Excellent.
As you enter, it's initially this dark room. Most of you do have I think all of you have dark vision. All of you have dark vision and you can see the structure of carpets and chairs and a fireplace. And as the door closes behind you, you hear a little whoop, and you can hear like little bits of locking so that you know that there might be some sort of arcane lock on the door. And then there's a lovely hum as little fires just start to erupt from little torches, little candles. The main fireplace opens up with the nice warmth, and you can instantly feel like a nice mild temperature outside compared to outside where it was blazing, scalding hot. This is like a nice warm comfort. There is an open circular room, and there are bookshelves and stands and food and all sorts laid about for comfort and just ease. Along the left-hand side runs a staircase that goes around this circular area that you can then follow upwards. And there are paintings and decorations aligning this entire room.
Have we just sort of left the army and the king?
No,
Outside?
Rolvog's like with you. You've left the wargs tied outside.
Tied to what?
The door handle. Put a peg in the ground, tie it to that. Just tell him to stay. Your warg was probably like, well, can I not come inside? And Rolvog was like, the door is too small for you. And he was like, well, it seems unfair that maybe you are going in, but we have to stay out here. Just bury your head in the sand and fight.
Love mine. Does he have a name? I should have asked.
Oh, Lord. His name. Give me a second. I will find for you his name.
Oh, boy.
It will be one of some sort of weird innuendo, I'm sure.
Oh, excellent.
Oh. God damn. God, I'm going to punch this laptop in its face.
Oh, no.
Just also known as its screen. His name is Rogbutt.
Rogbutt.
Rogbutt Bulfham.
Take it again in a second, name?
Rogbutt Bulfham.
Mine's just called Will.
Yeah.
Yeah. Will and Jerry, I think it was, wasn't it?
Sorry, did you say rock butt?
Rog.
No,
Rogbutt.
I'm
But
sorry.
yeah.
They're just called rock butt now.
Rockbutt butt firm.
Oh, good for him. Thank you.
He's a connoisseur of wines and cheeses.
As all
He
the
tells
best
you-
people are.
He tells you that when he was but a young warg, that he would spend his days hunting the trade route and steal many halflings and their goods. He would feed upon the halfling first and then dine upon their wine and cheese afterwards. It was a palate cleanser, was the halfling.
Well, I was going to say, the cheese course does come at the end of the meal, so.
Yes, yeah, of course.
Look, we're in a tower.
Yeah.
I wonder what's up there. And I just kind of start meandering up the stairs.
Yes, nice. As you go, the first door, Malice, what would be a symbol that you would sort of subscribe to, Malice?
A symbol I would subscribe to.
Yeah. Like, what would you say, like, if Malice had a symbol, what would it be?
Oh, I don't know. This feels very philosophical for him right now.
Yeah, like, well, maybe it's just the trident that you wield.
Yeah.
On the first door on the way up, there's a trident, very similar to the one that you wield, in gold.
I would like to crack the door ajar.
How would you say Malice's room would look in terms of, like, if he was given all the sort of, like, if he had just a moderate amount of income, how would his room look?
It would probably be decked out completely in purple, with lots of tasteful hanging drapery and a nice bookshelf, and lots of cushions.
Well, as you crack open this room, the most purple wallpapers are what you first perceive, followed by the most purple drapes of a bed that you've ever seen, followed by hundreds upon mountains of cushions that lay across this entire room. There is a little stand with food available and some chamber pots and things like that, just the regular things that you would have in a fantasy universe. But But yeah, this seems to be a room entirely crafted for you.
Huh. If you need me, I'll be in my room. I want to go up. I want to go up. I can't get distracted.
Yeah. As you get to the next room, Jamie, what would you say would be a symbol that Jamie would subscribe to?
I don't know how you do smoke as a symbol or shadow as a symbol. Oh, a door frame, empty, but then there's a shadow on the floor, but no person in the door frame.
Nice.
That's sick.
That is the symbol upon which you see the second door.
I'm just going to crack that. I'm going to be nosy.
As you try to open it, the handle doesn't turn.
Jamie, your room's locked. And I continue up.
Vega, what symbol would you say would be on your door?
It would be it'd be just like a circle split into 4 with the same kind of elemental symbols that are trimmed into the fur on him.
Mouse?
Cool. I'm continuing up. I'm going all the way up.
Nice. Veracity?
It's a fireball. It is, I think, probably specifically this fireball.
Oh, very lovely, very lovely. Is that an Elderwood Academy?
It is an Elderwood Academy.
Oh, plug. It's never too late to plug. Protea?
It's 4 leaves arranged in a sort of cross shape. There's a green one and a golden one and a sort of red one, and then there's a withered leaf.
The final 3 is one of a very tiny hut, one of a disc with a bottle sat on it, and the very final one is this sort of large. It's like everybody else's symbol was like modest. This was just this large sort of diagram of the multiverse.
I would like to try that door, please.
As you do, you hear these words. Which fool has tried to enter my room? If it was you, Liam, go fuck yourself.
Nice.
Well, I am not Learman, so I try and open the door again.
The door bellows once more. Your intellect will always be lesser than mine. Yes, Mordenkainen succeeds once more against your pitiful attempts.
I try again.
When will your issue end, you fool? Learman, you fat waste of space.
I can go all day.
The dog continues to insult Leomund, and then eventually it's like, this is too persistent. Tensor is that you will never find my secrets. They are locked away in Avernus itself.
This is just pulled you have entered the incorrect password too many times.
Essentially, every time you try to open the door, it's just a new insult or a new way to like belittle you and make you feel like you're not as cool.
Amazing.
Luckily, they're not directed towards me personally. So
No, they're not. Yeah.
Okay, I guess I'll try the door next to it.
Oh, that's the final door.
Oh, no, the one before it.
Oh, as you go to that one, it doesn't open.
Okay, I'm just gonna go back down
No.
the common room where everyone is, I assume, just waiting for me to come back.
Well, whilst Malice was having a good sleuth, as one would say, what are the rest of you doing?
I want to see. Oh no, go for it, G.
Just checking out if the food, not eating it. I think I'd be having a look at it and seeing. Not entirely sure I trust this place yet.
Okay.
I guess.
The food is like fresh fruits and just sort of like light snacks rather than a hearty meal. Nothing warm. Again, like cheeses, and there's like bottles of wine and rum. And yeah, just sort of fresh fruits, things like that. All cut, prepared, ready to be eaten. Is there anything else you'd like to look at? Oh, you're just staring at the food like, I don't trust this shit.
I don't know, like, I guess I'd probably ask. Actually, no, I'd turn to Protea and ask. So, what else do you know about this tower? How did it get lost exactly?
Oh, so these towers were created by 8 of the greatest wizards who ever lived, and they were supposed to be sort of things that would appear across the plains to come to those wizards' aid, or, whenever they wanted someone to stay. So how Leomund lost his tower is up for debate, though he did name it Rum, so that might be a hint. And he just sort of blinked out. Though why he didn't just stay in it once he'd found it, I'm not sure.
The joke is that the tower now runs away from him. Like everybody, it's been seen by everyone but Leomund across time.
Huge.
So Leomund just hasn't found it, but everyone else has been like, hey, wait, isn't that tower that that Leomund once had?
Yeah. I relayed this also to Vega. But honestly, did you enjoy the tiny hut I've made several times on our journey? That was one of his. Just such a visionary, such a mind. I could never.
I see. So this is like a big version of that little hut. The hut was good, I think. But
well, thank you. Sort of yes, but definitely no. This one's always here, except not right here. It always exists. I create the other one. But it's lovely. And Protea is going to start looking at all of the paintings, because that's something she's interested in, apparently, as established quite early with the dice roll.
Nice.
Yeah.
You notice each... there's like a portrait, whether or not it's small or large. You find Mordenkainen has like the largest portrait. Oh no, Mordenkainen has like the second largest portrait. Leomund has the largest portrait in this tower. But then the rest of them have like moderate portraits all around, each sort of like connoting the kind of like person they were. Bigby's just giving a big like wave, and things like that. There are other sort of like little pieces of art that are stored around, but the one that sort of rests your eye is a large picture of this man in Aztec clothing, and what he's holding is the same battle axe as Malice.
Ooh, Malice, your axe has a picture.
Someone painted your name?
Come see.
Oh, okay. By the way, so there's a room for each of us upstairs, plus a big door with a bantering, bossy voice. But the painting, Sinead.
As you come downstairs, you can see it too. It's this large, towering man with dark skin, piercings of like, but very like Aztec themed, with this large battle axe and like almost covered head to toe in blood. That's kind of part of the depiction, and it does say Inshalu the Undying in an inscription underneath.
He's got a bit of red on him, but could be worse.
You can kind of instantly be like brought back to when you opened up someone in your like fever dream when you first received the axe, and you almost like, oh, like that happened to me.
Huh.
I remember being covered in blood.
I remember that. It's warm and then it's very cold.
It's pretty accurate.
Gross. Ningen.
Sorry.
It's all right. Do I recognize the name or of Inshalu, or should I make a history check or an arcana?
Even with your history check, you won't be able to make it. It's too far gone. However, there is still lots in the room. So, would you like to make an investigation check?
Oh, go on then.
So, roll.
19, please.
Well, you go through all the different cupboards, and in between certain bookshelves as well, there are like interesting things that you see. You recognize a magic item when you've seen one before, and I'd say you've seen this one because it's quite common. You recognize an alchemy jug, which is this large jug that can produce lots of different different liquids, including mayonnaise, I believe.
Yes, absolutely mayonnaise.
You also pick up something you recognize as a drift globe.
Ooh. Now, I may recognize it, but Hannah doesn't. What?
No worries. I'll get it up now for you.
Me jerk.
A drift globe is this wonderful sphere, and it's about 1 pound in weight, and it's made out of glass, and inside of it is basically this wonderful light show that's going on. And they're all spinning and circling, very much like fireworks. And you can use it to emanate the light or daylight spell. Once used, the daylight effect can't be used again until the next dawn.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And if you, basically when you use it to create the light spell, it'll just float around you. Like you don't have to turn it off, it'll just be there. And then you can just keep walking around with it. Just means you don't have to have a torch if you need one. Not like you all do, because you've all got dark vision. It's just cool. Then you also find a goggles of object reading, which are these wonderful goggles that I think you'll find very useful.
Yeah. Yes. I've typed in goggles with 5 Gs. That's not helpful.
Basically, they're like leather framed, so you have to sort of like tie them on and tie them to your head. And they have these like wonderful like purple like eyes that make you look a bit like an owl. But whilst wearing them, you have advantage on intelligence arcana checks made to reveal more information about creatures or characters, or basically any arcana check that you need to make. And you can cast the identify spell once per day. I have a
question. This is not an exciting question. I can't find it on D&D Beyond.
Gobbles.
Gobbles.
Goggles of object reading.
Yeah, I've got finders and of night and inquisitives, but not object reading.
They're part of the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount, if that helps.
Okay, I'll figure it out another time.
Yeah. I can always send it to you and put it in your character sheet.
That would be lovely.
During the break.
Great.
And then finally, you find a couple of sending stones. So one has they both have like 2 mouths, and on the other side they have an ear. You get the feeling that you can talk and then listen.
I immediately give one of the sending stones to Veracity and the other to Malice.
What does this do?
Oh, instead of having to cast sending, you can just use these stones. Save a spell.
Oh.
That's lovely, but why am I being trusted with such a bizarre and magical item?
So we can talk to each other, I think.
Yes, and you're being trusted with it, Malice, because, well, I was always told if you're going to manage people, you need to give them the opportunity to succeed by giving them responsibility.
Why is that relevant here?
Well, you're my... And Protea walks off.
Oh,
Rolvik like turns down to Veracity and he's like, I think because you're all called Protea's Predators.
We're not.
That was okay. Well, never mind then. He gets so he walks around.
I'm getting some very mixed signals about leadership here.
We're all a team, Malice. We're a team.
Okay.
A flat, structured team. That was very nice of Protea. She's walked off, or I would have said this to her. I can do this without a stone, so it probably makes sense for someone who can't talk to people without a stone to have this. Jamie, you and Malice keep sneaking off to have little whisper conversations. Do you want this? And then you don't have to go into a corner to do it.
Well, to be fair, I can actually send messages to people myself without the use of a stone anyway. So maybe Vega, or even, well, I believe it's rude in the
I don't want to give it back to Protea. Yeah, I don't think she'd like it.
Yeah, I believe it is rude, but maybe Vega might make use of it.
What about Roadblock? No.
My name is Rolvik, and I can hear you.
Oh, hello, sir.
He's been stood with you the entire time.
I think giving it to Vega is a good idea. Because when we finish this and definitely done everything Rolvik wants us to do and won and everything's fine again, Rolvik will stay with his people and we might not. So it probably makes sense for Vega to have it.
Exactly.
Vega, if you want a stone with an ear on it.
All right then. Yes, I suppose so.
Good. There's a stone. Have fun.
Thank you.
Don't tell Protea. Scares me.
He scares me too, big one.
I never gave you a name.
Well, you can call me whatever you want.
Okay, whatever you want.
There we go! It's never too early for pantomime.
Beautiful. Okay. Protea, as you've sort of gone off to continue your search, you come across a book that has been opened and then marked with a pen that's been left inside of it. And as you open it up, you find Lehman's journal. As you sort of skim through it, I imagine rather excitedly.
Yeah.
You find it's like volume 43.
Yeah.
He's just started it. It's like Tuesday. Had a very good day. Ate a good breakfast.
Yeah.
Drank too much yesterday. Needed the orange juice. Wednesday. It's very just keeping his affairs in order. Yeah. Just keeping his affairs in order. Not extremely he's not talking about how he's feeling or anything like that. Just very much like what I did today. And then in sort of as you go through from the beginning to mid through, you can see that he acquired this painting of Inshalu the Undying from a goblin who had no idea what they had. He says that he's got it recently framed and he's enjoying hanging it up next to Mordecai and the other tyrannical leader that he knows of. And that's when you look and you see them both next to each other. He dates the picture to minus 24,000 DR, which is probably about 26,000 years ago, for when it was originally painted and created. There's a brief sort of very spark notes that Inshalu was a priest of Seth, and Seth is pronounced Seth like that because it has an extra S. There's a brief history of Inshalu where it explains that he was a priest of Seth, and Seth is pronounced like that because it has an extra S. He led the very sort of mid-reign, the sort of high point of the Yuan-Ti Empire, and basically conquered half of the continent of Karatur before it was Karatur.
Oh shit.
And enslaved many, many, many people.
Oh shit.
He was called the Undying because he somehow coveted this ability to stay youthful for many, many years and outlived a lot more other priests. And apparently his end goal was essentially to become, well, as all Yuan-Ti priests do want to, they want to become gods. And was trying to achieve divinity and believed that by culling enough people, he would eventually be able to, do that.
It never quite works.
No, never. It's and then like a few entries later, he sort of states the fact that he did a bit more research in Shalu to see what became of him, but found that he came over the same hole that most historians have come to, which is that at some point the Yuan-Ti basically just disappeared. Most of them literally, something happened. Nobody really in history has written what, but it's kind of all agreed that around 20,000 minus 20,000 DR, they all just disappeared.
Cool.
Like there's few pockets of them here and there now, but nobody really knows what happened.
Good to know. Okay, is this diary chained to the desk?
No.
Can I take the diary and put it in my backpack? Very gently and carefully and lovingly wrapped, but I want to bring the diary.
I think it's safe to assume that Learman's never going to get this diary again. He's been chasing this out for years.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And to bring the diary home, to put it in the library, the family library, would be
swish, swish. Yes. Oh, very nice. Very nice. I like it. Okay. Yeah. My first adventuring looting. I went into a man's home and stole his book.
Stole his diary, no less.
Yes, his personal diary. At least it wasn't. Yeah, at least it wasn't like, dear diary, today I don't know.
Today, Mordenkainen pushed me down the stairs.
Okay.
I was very sad.
He keeps bullying me. Tensa says I should just ignore him. I think Tensa's an idiot. Anyway, sorry. Ooh, entertaining myself too much. What does everybody else like to do?
I think I'd be like, I'd eat some food and generally relax, but maybe look at some of the books.
I imagine it was this really tense moment where you were like, picked up like a piece of like orange segment and you were like, That tastes so good.
I was waiting for you to insight check a melon.
This melon is thinking devious thoughts. There's only melons. Yeah, crush the melon. Fuck this melon. What kind of books are you looking for?
Nothing in particular. I guess I'm kind of having a look to see what's there and if anything.
You find a book on the Four Winds.
That's my interest.
It's written by a monk named Nikwi Bulby. Nikwi Bulby. Bulby?
May I ask what name generator you use, my darling?
I think Niall's brain.
A wizard never reveals his tricks. Nikwi Bulby. Bulby? Who was a gnome that basically decided he was going to combine not only kung fu and martial arts, but guns as well, and create something he likes to call gun fu.
Gun fu. Okay.
It's a very interesting read. He basically explains the art of bending bullets and things like that, but basically comes to the conclusion that they mainly shoot in straight lines. The ability to reload is prevalent. Muskets are not usable whilst doing this. You need some sort of auto reload chamber. But it's like a good 900-page book on this. Like he really went to town on it.
All right, I'll have a read through that.
Nice. Anything else anybody else is up to or looking for?
Veracity is not going to do anything remotely like power play. Instead, she is fed up of having sat in a freezing cold desert for a week, and now there's no hot food. So she is going to find a pot. She is going to put cheese in it. She's going to light fire underneath it, and then gather all the bits of vegetables and bread. And she is going to make fondue in the floor of this fancy room with all the paintings around it.
Roll a performance check.
Performance? I'm not doing it with my charisma.
It's a cooking skill. It's a performance check. For some reason, D&D has rolled the all performance checks and
That's
charisma
not
based.
fair. Would anyone like to help me make my fondue?
I can help, but just by going, oh, that could work well.
That's very valuable help. That turned that from a 4 into a 16. So many thanks.
You make a decent fondue with the help of Malice giving you a bit of guidance in terms of matching tastes.
Which is ironic because my charisma is +0.
And I think you stopped me just getting enthusiastic about to squeeze a pineapple into the cheese.
Squeeze a pineapple.
You ever seen a pineapple, Rebecca?
I was thinking you could skin it first, peel it.
Skin it. Yeah.
The pineapple is going to be about as big as Veracity as well.
I'm at least
Veracity,
twice as big
bear
as a
hugging a pineapple.
Yeah, to be fair, it would be in the arms. Her face obscured by the tufty bits.
As we are making delicious fondue without pineapple.
Pineapple on the side.
You can dip pineapple in it if you want, but...
Is this the new pineapple on pizza? Pineapple does not belong in fondue.
It's the 80s thing, pineapple and cheese sticks. Clearly, Veracity is a child of the fantasy 80s.
While we're doing that...
Fantasy 80s. Sorry. All wearing mullets. Baggy armor pants. Baggy chainmail.
Every DM in a 50-mile radius just went,
Stone-washed leather armor.
Evie, what were you saying?
Yeah, what was I saying?
Sorry, before the 80s hit.
I feel like I just took sanity damage from that. Psychic, that's it. As we are dipping various things in the cheesy fondue, I would like to just say to Veracity nonchalantly, so you've done a lot of adventuring before, right?
I've done one big proper one, and there are a couple of little ones before that.
Okay. Hypothetically, in an imaginary situation, have you ever heard of the possibility of what would happen if someone broke a contract with a patron that gave them magical powers? Just a thought experiment.
By a patron, do you mean a super powerful being, sort of like an archfey?
Yes, those guys.
Oh, they're horrible. Never, ever, ever do anything that they don't want you to do.
Oh. Right. Do you have experience with...
No.
You sound like you do.
No, I don't. Pineapple.
You want to roll an insight check? I mean, I feel like you don't have to.
Oh, no.
I can say. So that was 19.
That was 5. My persuasion or deception, who could possibly tell?
Okay, big one. I'm not going to force you to tell me.
I met an archfey once, and she was quite mean.
Quite mean? Did she... I don't know, did she call you small?
I am small.
Yes, but no one wants... You said yourself you didn't like it to just be pointed out.
I don't like when people are like, oh, little, oh, defenseless, oh, cute. But I am just small.
You're cute, but you are not defenseless.
Yeah, exactly.
But the Archfey, can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Oh, I hoped I'd done enough of distracting. She sort of was in charge of the demiplane we went to, and we went to get this big, powerful, shiny thing called the Context in order just for this rich collector person. Well, they were sort of an academic rather than rich. There was another rich collector person, but it was mainly this mean, spiteful old academic who wanted it. But then we found out they weren't really real. They were sort of a porcelain avatar of this Archfey lady who wanted it to sort of destroy her rival and therefore lots of reality as well. And we decided not to give it to her. And she wasn't very happy.
What did she do in that situation?
She got very cross.
And?
She sort of froze everyone in place and then threatened everyone a lot.
Okay, if it's just threatening, that doesn't sound so bad.
No, it wasn't just threatening. She then also did things.
Okay, this looks like it's a tough topic and I don't want to push you any further. So, how about we leave it? And then if you want to tell me a little bit more, a little bit later for our thought experiment, then you can.
Make an insight check, Rossi, about the thought experiment.
I'm not good at subtlety.
That is a 25.
Bloody hell.
Do you want to even bother rolling? Or do you have a charisma that can be a 25?
Well, my charisma is +0 as previously established. I did just roll an 18, but it's still...
The thought experiment was something that isn't happening.
Well, it's not happening. Oh, look, let's try the pineapple in the cheese.
Alice! What have you done? Have you made an Archfey cross? Don't do that.
No. I've not made an Archfey cross. I've not made anyone cross that's still around to take out their wrath on me. No, I haven't at all.
Okay, for goodness sake, I'll tell you mine if you tell me yours.
You first.
That's not fair, I'm small.
Yeah, well, I'm old, so...
Are you? How old are you?
180.
No.
Yeah.
That's very old.
Exactly. I am but elderly and decrepit. You must... I'm, by the way, Malice is not. They look very young. Relatively young, like 20s, 30s.
But Malice is 180.
Yeah.
Cool. I don't want to be inside checking everything you say, but I will.
I feel like they just carry over. Like, you both know you're both lying, if that makes sense.
Great.
Like, from now on, both of you know you're lying.
Yeah.
Well, there was one person in my group of friends who was incredibly wise and therefore didn't get trapped by this nasty Archfey spell that froze everyone. And so she was really scared that all her friends were a bit defenseless. So she tried to be as annoying as she possibly could to sort of distract away from all her defenseless friends. And she maybe succeeded a bit too well and was a bit too annoying. And then the Archfey sort of left, but whispered something in her ear as she left. And then she found out she was cursed forever, unbreakably, in a very bad way. The poor thing. I wonder how she's doing now.
I'm sorry that happened to your annoying friend.
She's not annoying. She's wonderful.
Okay.
And not at all annoying. She was being deliberately annoying. It's a very important distinction.
Okay, I have the utmost respect for someone who has the ability to annoy an Archfey into going away. That is quite the feat. I am very impressed with whoever they are. I'm sorry about the curse of your friend. If there's anything I can ever do for them, they are welcome to come and find me.
Yeah.
And mine is a secret, so I need you to pinky promise me that you're not going to tell anyone. Okay, and remember, pinky promises are sacred. If you break them, you know what happens, right?
Do you get cursed by an Archfey?
No, your pinky gets broken.
I could just heal it.
Yeah, but it would still be painful.
You're not very nice.
I'm trying.
Okay. Generally, don't threaten to break people's fingers when you're trying to be friends with them.
That's not a threat. That's just how a pinky promise works.
Okay, you were telling me a thing.
So my cousin Jamie may be in a bit of a bind with her patron currently, and we're trying to figure out a way out of it that involves her living.
That's so weird that you have a cousin Jamie, and then there's a Jamie here, who, you know, also looks a bit like you, and you seem to know her quite well. That's really weird.
Yeah, it's funny that, isn't it? I guess there's a lot of Jamies going. No, it is that Jamie.
Oh!
Just, you didn't hear it from me, not the cousins thing, the other thing.
Okay.
And you didn't hear it from me because you're not going to tell anybody else about it unless Jamie comes to you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, great. Thanks.
But thank you so much for your help, big one.
You're okay, whatever you want.
I don't know why, but the entire time you two were talking,
I think I'd ask him,
I couldn't help but just imagine Vega was stood in between it. You two just dipping bread into cheese. Like,
Oh, I fully imagined us being really secretive whilst the three of you were also there, like, we could hear everything.
Jamie just staring daggers at you. It's just like, what? Like, what? I don't know,
okay,
this conversation.
I'll segue Jamie out of the room.
I'm imagining Jamie doing those movements as she goes out of the room.
And she's going to basically just like, be like, I hope there's a bath up there. And she's just going to wander up the staircase, looking for the room that Malice pointed out.
Yeah, what, your room?
Mm.
Yeah, eventually you'd find it. And what does it look like inside?
Oh, it's just everything's very simple, like purpose. There's like a double bed, like a table and a stand with a mirror on. There's like just everything that you could possibly want in a room. And then there's, because she was particularly wishing for a bath, there's a stunning copper bath, standalone, just like sort of off center in one corner, almost glowing.
Hot water already in there, steam already rising up a bit.
Beautiful. If anybody wants me, knock first, and you hear the door shut. Jamie's going for a nice long soak.
Oh, idyllic.
Vega, what would you like to do during this crazy time? Rolvik is like sat with you for a while, just sort of like looking into like a glass of wine that he's drinking.
I think I'd ask him, so how far do we still have to go?
Not far now. A day away.
And how long do these storms usually last?
I found when I was traveling towards Faerun, it was varied. I didn't come across as many as we have on the way here, but they're not pleasant, are they?
No, they're not, but I guess my worry might be that if there's more storms, maybe that is something foreboding about what we're going to find when we get to the city.
I didn't peg you as the supernatural kind.
Vega just like looks at the kind of symbols on his body and well, my studies and my training over the years have taught me to believe in a great many things.
He nods. Well, I myself have never had any sort of visions or callings, anything like that, so I guess I'm just not a believer yet. And he holds his wine up to you and then just takes a sip of it. I hopeful that, and he like looks around at the group, Protea reading Lehman's diary, Malice and Veracity colluding, and Jamie sort of walking up the stairs, and then at you. I really, if there was a god to pray to, I would pray to them in hopes of my city being returned to us. It's a beautiful place, and I think you'll enjoy it once you're behind the walls. The people are all wonderful people, kind, strong, sturdy.
How long since you left?
It's been nearly 3 months. I miss it.
I have to admit, I'm apprehensive about what we'll find when we get there. I hope that people have managed to stay as strong as they were.
Well, my partner's there. Hopefully they are keeping them together without me.
And if you do feel the need to pray, then perhaps Baglabayak is not a bad choice.
You've been converted by by Alvar.
Not by Alvar. I had a vision.
Yes? A serious one.
In all honesty, I prefer that I hadn't, but as I was meditating a few days ago, I saw the city and I saw someone on a throne.
Rolvik instinctually stands, like, in aggression. Like, he's just, like, already on his feet. He's not, like, going to hit you, but it's, like, that aggressive, like, motherfucker, sat on my chair.
The city did not look in a good way.
He sits down again. He takes off his crown, and sort of like holds it like you would like a pair of spectacles, just kind of like that. Strokes, like puts his glass down, strokes his temples. Well, seems that maybe my slight fib has turned into something a little more palpable. Maybe I should start praying more often.
I'm sure
Thank
it
you.
can't hurt.
I hope you're right. He downs his wine, stands again, puts his hand on your shoulder, looks you dead in the eye and says, "Thank you for telling me. I think we sometimes do need reminding of what we're fighting for, even when we think we know." And he retires to his room. Lovely. So, the rest of you, unless you have any unfinished business, would you like to just retire and spend the night?
I wouldn't mind obeying the note on my character sheet, hovering outside Jamie's room and then sending a message going, "It's Veracity, do you have a minute?"
Like, it's a little bit of like a wait for the reply, but then like right when you're about to give up and think there's no reply coming, because yes, I'll get out 1 second.
No, I don't have to if it's a bother, or I could come in or something.
I'm already out. And then I don't think she'll bother getting fully dressed. It'll just be like a classic towel on the hair, towel on the top, but she opens it.
I didn't mean to bother you. If you're all like schnoozling, then
No,
it's
but
not
you
important.
Just before anything, feel my skin. Whatever's in the water here is stunning. It's really
Yes.
Some good quality H2O.
God damn.
Scottish water.
Come in. And she'll go and sit she'll just go sit on the bed.
Your room's really nice.
It's effective, I think the word would be. Everything you need.
Veracity is fidgeting a little awkwardly. You get the sense she's not quite sure how to say the next thing.
I don't want to insult you, but what are you up to?
You seem... Well, at first I thought you were terrifying and icy, and then you seemed all sweet and lovely inside, and now I don't know what to think. And I sort of want to talk to you about it, but I don't want to accidentally insult you, and also I don't want you to sort of smite me.
I don't think stating the obvious is rude. I mean, I can say it for you. I'm not a nice person.
I think you have nice
Offensive.
beard. I think there are parts of you that have seemed very nice.
I'm attempting to learn, but a lifetime of not being nice is a difficult trait to just get rid of over a short amount of time.
It was sort of that I wanted to ask, because in our fight with the bugbears, you just sort of did some, fighting, and it was cool. And then in our fight with the weird orcs, you did some, cool fighting, and it was cool. And then in the cave, you sort of ripped squares of skin off and then threw them in the air, and then tentacles appeared through them, and that's... bit evil, maybe?
No, very evil, malevolently. So.
Rest is slowly backing away.
I'm no Protea. I'm no learned caster.
That's okay.
I'm not even really a caster of any kind. See, the whole fissure and tentacles isn't actually really... It's a choice, but it's not a choice. If I don't release it, it will become a problem for me. So I'm a host of the magic that's in me. I'm not someone, for example, a learned, like a wizard, who's practiced and practiced and practiced, or yourself innately has the power of magic inside them, or someone who's I met a horrible sorceress that had dragons descendants, and that's where her magic came from. But for me, I have nothing. There's nothing special about me when it comes to magic power. Don't get me wrong, my charm comes purely from me. So when I was young, my patron gave me power, but my body isn't supposed to hold that power. I don't have any natural aversion in my body to hold on to that magic. So the gem, and she shows you a gem that's on the hilt of her sword that's sort of mounted on it. That's basically like a catalyst to keep the magic that my host, or the extra magic, let's say, put in me. And that keeps it in check. But what happens is, because I'm not supposed to have the magic, I get punished if I overuse it.
Did you want to be given the magic?
Want or didn't know better. They're very different.
Could you tell your patron, thank you very much, that was very nice, but it was a bad idea, no thank you, goodbye?
No.
Would you like some help?
Well, I did state at the start, I'm not a nice person.
You need
And
to stop saying that.
Well, I'm not going to play the card of I don't deserve help, because that would defeat the whole point of it.
It's a stupid card.
Yeah. And you've been telling us that we're a party, but I gave something up. As I'm sure you're familiar with any pact or any agreement, you give something up. And I need to be very careful, otherwise I might just get taken away if I'm not. I don't know how to word the rest of it. It's very complicated pacts, and when I made it, I didn't really understand what I was giving up.
Have you had friends before?
Well, I've had minions.
That's not the same.
I don't know. I'd count the family. I guess Malice would be a distant friend. We've definitely got closer since we've met back up again. But I mean, before this, maybe I've seen Malice maybe twice in my life.
Okay, so this is probably new to you then, but when you have friends and then a bad, powerful person turns up and tries to take you away when you don't want to go, your friends sort of stop that happening.
I'd rather you not all instantly die.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, I know that one.
I don't know you that well, and I'll be honest. I'd be upset for a little while, but you don't want that sort of. And to be honest, I'm developing this whole thing of, feeling bad for people, and
It's called empathy. It's great.
Yeah, and I'd rather not feel bad for getting you all killed.
That's all right, because I think we're all just as likely to get you killed, really. Just, if you want to carry on doing dark tentacle, skin rippy, evil magic, you do you. Just, if you'd rather stop it and it's just that you're scared, then we could help you and be scared together.
Yeah, but that's the other problem. If I stop doing it, is I stop using magic altogether.
That might not be the worst thing.
I don't know how to do anything else.
You could be a gardener. I have a friend who knows loads about plants. I have 2 friends who know loads about. I have 3 friends who know loads about plants. And you could go learn about things with them. Or farming, or teaching, or fashion. Your fashion sense is unique. There are lots of other things you could do. Anyway, I feel like in a minute you're probably going to turn scary again, so I'm going to probably go now. But just, you don't have to do the whole noble I must suffer alone as a shadowy anti-hero thing unless you want to. But if you don't want to, you could not do that if you wanted to have friends instead.
I'll think about it.
Okay, I'm going to go now because I think I have bothered you. And last time I bothered someone with evil powers for a long time, it went very badly. So I'm going to go now.
Just before you leave the door, you just go, oh, thank you.
You are welcome.
Shut the door behind you.
I will toddle off.
You all go to bed, and the next day when you rise, you find that what you've left out, like empty plates, things like that, have all been restocked, reshuffled, put away, cleaned. The fondue has disappeared, and replaced with, again, the same sort of batch of fruits and things, and you notice like morning pastries have been made somehow. Presumably it's the next day. Rovik is already down there, the first one to be at the bottom, and when you all start to make your way down, he says, we are less than a day's travel away, so we should make it in good time. Next few hours, hopefully. I've already had a look outside. The walls are fine.
Protea strokes the walls of the tower.
Very nice, very nice.
One day, one of these.
Will be mine. Malice, can you make me a Constitution saving throw, please?
Oh, yeah. Okay. 22.
Oh, yeah. Very nice, very nice, very nice. Okay, you guys get up and you head out. Once upon the walks, you start riding, and it is a clear day. You've made it through whatever storm seems to be forebodingly coming around you. The sun beating down on you, hard and heavy. And Vega, as you look up into the sun, you notice that its cylindrical shape is no longer cylindrical, but that of a cube. And you start to travel towards it at the speed of light, and you notice that the sun itself has oceans and land and other things, and you careen down into this large arena. And at the top of the arena is this large, strong-looking goblinoid with burning eyes that looks down upon you, holding a black axe, and they beat their chest rhythmically. And you know what you must fight, and you look straight ahead of you, and the doors open, and you again sort of hurtle forward into this dark chamber of ice and dark and cold, and there is a figure hunched over a sword. You breathe and you can see your breath in front of you. Look round, and a man with a blindfold, no longer in armor, walks in. He says, "Srindant." And the man's head looks up. "You were called to fight them." He turns and he stands and he looks you dead in the eyes, and you can see his cold, white eyes, his white, pure iris, and you feel yourself freeze in place and then melt as the sun once again regains its shape. And you ride towards the distance, and you hear Ulvik say, there is our camp." And you
What
can all
was the
see
name?
Srindant.
I'm not hearing that very clearly at my end.
Srindant, so that's Cryndint.
Dint, Srindant. Okay.
And the rest of you can start to see this large camp, and it's like that of like the old like armies where they're just like completely taking over plains of this desert, and there are tents and market stalls set up, and it just seems to go on for almost forever as you come over this sandy mountaintop almost. It is like a large expand of refugees. You ride down into the camp and you can start to see the people of multiple races. There is a majority of goblinoids, bugbears, goblins, and hobgoblins. But there are like tieflings and orcs and other humans and elves and dwarves too. You hear like the whispers of the king has returned as they he leads you into the city, and people are waving and like holding themselves, crying, just like in pure like ecstasy that the king is finally back. And Protea, as you sort of like glance over this wonderful like show of emotion and ecstatic hero's welcome that you've now probably gotten used to, you spot a medical camp, and as you look, your eyes just glance inside, and you can see a orc being treated. She's got like a large gash and her other arm in a sling, and you can see that they're getting like sort of like sealed, and you can see healing energy being given by this very pale-faced, white-haired woman you recognize as Kaemon, your sister. And that is where we'll take a break. Thank you very much, guys, for sitting us with the first half. We'll be about 5 to 10 minutes, and then we'll be back for part 2 Electric Boogaloo of episode 5. See you soon. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of Into the Wastelands, the Eternal Army. Hope you had a lovely break. I know we all did. Pasta bakes were eaten, juices were concocted and now being drunk, and pleasant conversations have been had by all. And tea, presumably. Love it, love it. So, where we last left off, our Protea's predators, should I say, were
But you will.
but I will. Protea's predators were being welcomed into this refugee camp, former populace of Arkenhassa. And whilst they were all being sort of clapped and welcomed within the camp, Protea spotted her sister in a medical camp, treating an orc. I guess that's where we'll start. Oh, and Vega just had a vision of something like ominous.
I've forgotten the name already.
Yeah.
I've forgotten the name of the.
I've probably forgotten how I pronounced it.
I know it has no vowel. It has no vowels, so that's not helpful.
Crichton,
No, I just said
No.
that.
didn't I? What did I say before? Sridin?
Read.
It began with a s sound.
Or something.
Nest sound.
Look, I've never said it out loud before, so I'm just going to say it's Crichton, because that's what I just said.
Trident. Okay.
Like
That's not what I
with a
said.
K.
It's like cry.
Trident,
It's
but
literally spelled
hidden a
cry dint.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was it. CRYDNT.
Yeah, cry dint.
Trident.
Whoever that last guy was an hour and a half ago no longer exists. Crichton. Yeah, I'm happy with that. Our
Okay.
frosty friend.
Yes.
So, let's carry on inside, I guess.
do we make eye contact at all?
She's not seeing you.
Then I don't think Protea would think, oh, that can't be her.
Oh, it's definitely her. Like, you know your sister when you look at her. Like, it's your sister.
Oh, okay.
It's the same hair, same face, different clothes. She's wearing these like blue and white robes with slight armor on, and there's this white dove across her chest that's sort of like one piece of cloth that's tied with a belt. Very cleric-y uniform.
I mean, classic.
Classic cleric.
Classic cleric. I don't think Protea's going to go to her because she's doing a job, and these are her predators, and obviously they're not. But like, you know, this is it's horrifying, to be completely honest. But repression is the name of the game, so just keep going. This character is so fun, but so different because Vario would just be there. Just be right fucking there. But yeah.
What are you doing here?
What
Why
is
did
this? Fuck
why
are you
you-
doing? Yeah.
You've not
No.
talked to me for years. What are you doing here?
Yeah. No. So just clocks it. If anybody wants to insight why
I was about to say I will insight, or well, I guess maybe just with my passive insight.
Mm.
If Protea is trying to hide her reaction.
What's your performance?
my performance is a +0. Is a 12.
And Vega, what's your insight?
My passive insight is 15.
Nice.
You read Protea like an open book.
Yeah.
What does he glean from Protea's face?
Utter shock, horror, distress, confusion.
Protea, are you all right?
Fine, thank you. And Protea presses, and because everybody's looking, and does a basically what she did back at the casino style place, and same beautiful glowing shimmering light surrounds her and then floats over and plays with Veracity's like hair and like brightens the slightly sharper teeth that Malice has, and just like it's a show. Now it's showtime.
There are kids sort of like laughing and giggling at this sort of wonderful display of magic. There are a few sort of older folk who enjoy this kind of display, but you sort of notice, I think you just notice the tone of the vibe. Most of the sort of people that can do work and are old enough to do work are like just happy that the king's here. They're not really that impressed with this.
Gets a presty.
But yeah, it's one of those like they're just sort of like I'm glad my dad and my kids are having a nice time, but I need to worry about our next meal kind of thing.
Yeah.
Cool.
So when Protea finishes doing that, Vega will just say, I can see that you need to be all right at the moment, but if you find that you're not at a later point, you can talk to myself or probably any of the others.
Thank you. So, what's next?
Rovert continues to lead you through the camp, and you get to this sort of large market area, and you go through that all the way into sort of the center of this entire place, where there's been this larger gazebo built, and you can see like people lining up. There are other hobgoblins sort of stood in full armor, dealing with people and like talking. And you can like over here they're talking about, we just don't have enough food. There's nothing that we can grow out here. We're barely surviving on what the clerics can feed us. And the hobgoblin is just like, I know, but what do you want me to say? Well, look, the king's here now. And they all sort of turn, and there is this sort of moment of relief, but then also this like, well, what are you gonna do? There's this one priest that you recognize in very similar garbs to the unholy covenant you saw before, sort of screaming nonsense about like the end of time and that we shouldn't be here groveling in the dirt and in the muck, that we should be taking and growing food from the blood of our enemies and that kind of thing. And there's a sizable group listening to it. And they're all sort of like saying, yeah, and when the king does get here, they do start to like quieten down, but there's this like tension in the air of like, if you're not here to give us what we want, then we might, riot kind of thing. As you arrive on your wargs and start to get off, a satyr dressed in sort of medium armor, not full plate or anything like that, comes out, and Rovik steadily walks so that they sort of like have this respectful walk towards one another and embrace for a very long time. And Rovik holds like the back of their head very tenderly, and they place foreheads together, and then they have like a little word that you can't hear between them, and he points to you all, and the satyr sort of nods their head and is like indicates to go inside with them. You follow inside, and there's this sorry.
Good timing.
Yeah, I don't know how I did that, but it was magical. You follow inside, and there is this large tent that's been set open. There's benches inside. You gather that this is sort of like a meeting place for a lot of people. There are other hobgoblins and other races as well, but mainly hobgoblins in here. You gather that sort of the main bulk of the governing body is hobgoblins. All dressed in armor and ready for war, talking about what they should be doing. You notice that a lot of them sort of have these patches of this unholy convent with the black axe and the fire behind them. And then around the rest of the tent is just the black axe. sort of layered around. You gather that maybe the fire sort of indicates that this is part of the religious sect, and the black axe itself is just part of the city. The city's crest in a way. You are taken over to a bench, and a few of like the governing officials you can see who are wearing sort of like nicer armor, nicer polished armor. Again, all with different like labels and like all in very much like a 50-50 split when it comes to who's sort of going where and siding with whom. Are sort of like watching you very carefully as Rulvuk stands at this sort of like edge of this long table and says, "People, I have found our champions. Myself and Evad, the cult leader, have sat and prayed for many, many moons. And these are our chosen few that Maglabiat has sent us. Maglabiat has wished it that we go back to Arkenhassa and we take our city back." And like immediately there's just like 100 questions all fired out. Like, what do you mean? How are we meant to do this? Who the hell are they? Like, why aren't we going forward? Like, why aren't we just leaving the city to burn? All these questions are like just absolutely being like shouted over one another. And Rulvuk just looks at you all and like gives you that look of, this is what I'm doing. He turns back and like,
Vega daunting roars everybody in the room.
Very nice. What do they need to roll?
I can't remember.
It's a wisdom saving check, isn't it?
Yeah, wisdom saving throw. So not everybody. It's people within 10 feet. So none of our party. Basically, all the people causing a ruckus and.
Yeah, I'll give you everybody because it's, you know, it's kind of cool. Yeah, it's kind of cool. Wisdom check?
Yes. Wisdom saving throw.
Yeah, they only rolled like an 11.
Yeah, no, it's a 14.
Nice. You roar and the whole room just like you hear one hobgoblin just be like just sort of like stares at you very like unashamedly.
I understand that you all have a lot of questions. To be honest, so do we. We don't really know any much more than you do. We didn't think of ourselves as your champions. We were just trying to do our job. But we're here to try and help. And for what it's worth, I have had some sort of visions. Whether they come from Maglabiak, I can't say for absolutely certain, but I had a vision of the city and of a fighter called Crident.
Are you sure?
Crident, maybe? I'm not sure. Maybe Stephen, I don't know.
They all listen to you because they are like immediately intimidated by you. I think your words speak true. Do you go into details about the visions, or is it just like that as
No, I think that's about all I see.
One of them like nervously glances over to the satyr that stood with Rulvuk, and the satyr turns around to you and turns to Rulvuk and says, about 2 weeks ago, one of their soldiers came to the camp. We have them in custody right now. They've refused to speak to anyone apart from our chosen champions. And Rulvuk looks confused and says, "Why did you not send word?" And the satyr shrugs and says, "We'll be back soon." Rulvuk nods. Right. champions. And he sort of turns back to you. Well, I suppose that's you. Right. I'll take you to the... Where have we got them chained up?
Nice.
It says, the satyr laughs and sort of like gently like holds Rolvuk's like arm and says they're taken just outside the market area. We've got them chained up. People have sort of found comfort in the fact that we have one of them prisoner. I'll take you there now. And they leave the tent, and Rolvuk turns to you and he says, "Look, I have to talk with the men, settle any tensions they might have, and I appreciate your help." And he looks at you, Vega, and nods. "But go talk to this soldier, see what they want. Report back to me, we'll make a plan." Understood?
Sounds like a good plan.
Thank you. I will make sure to convince them that Protea's predators will do well. No, not what we're calling you.
Perhaps we could shorten it to pro-predators.
Pro-predators sounds really good. Very well. Rolvuk turns to deal with the rest of the Hobgoblin generals, who do nervously wait for you to leave before they start talking. They're all stood and sort of like in silence waiting for you all to leave. The satyr is at the tent and just sort of looks at you and is like, "Come on then."
Oh, yeah. Go.
Yep.
Go along.
Excellent. As they're walking, the satyr has like brown hair and sort of like small curly horns, the typical like sort of like goat legs. Very strong build, very similar to Rolvuk in that sort of sense. And they turn to you and they're like, "How was he? Has he been okay?"
I mean, we've treated him more of a equal, and maybe that's helped him feel a little bit more relaxed in our company and not having to put a show on through traveling. So maybe that may have helped.
He's good at the show, though. Very good.
Does seem a bit stressed, though.
Aren't we all? Right, we just have to go through past here and just sort of south of the medical camp, and we'll be near where we're keeping this person. They take you back through the market, sort of near the way you came, and then you take like a sharp right instead of going back straight up north the way you came. And there's been like a little section sort of cleared out, and like metal bars have been like forged together. And you can see that there is like a smithy nearby. It's this gnome with like biceps almost bigger than their legs, just like smashing iron, and they've welded and created. And there's not just sort of like your very stereotypical blacksmith kind of things. There is like almost apparatus where they have like welding equipment as well. Gnomes are sort of kind of like stereotypically known to be very sort of arcane artificer kind of types, very creative in terms of building technology. And this gnome seems very, very much the stereotype. And they seem to have forged this sort of like half-handedly, like shoddily made cage. Within this cage, you can see like a figure sort of being draped in shadow as the sun sort of peers through. You can just see the glinting of this golden armor through the cracks of the cage. The satyr sort of walks up to the cage, knocks on it, and says, "Our champions have been collected. Here they are." And do you all approach the cage?
And oh,
No, Protea's like, "Fuck that."
That shit. Fuck that shit right to heck.
It's sort of, the cage is like almost on like a wooden like a wooden step up. So there's been like a wooden stage created, and then on top of that, the cage has been placed and welded. There is like a door and a lock for it as well. And it's kind of like half draped in like tarp and things. You presume like to not overheat whoever's inside there.
Yeah.
And there is like a bucket next to it with like a water ladle and things like that. So you'd have to come up on the stage to get near the cage.
I would like to have my axe just kind of behind me, kind of like that, leaning on it, trying to look as swole and competent and menacing as I can.
So
Ooh,
much.
look at these swans. These swans are sick.
The beach.
Someone get in there.
The sand is that way.
Jamie's going to go up, but sort of just before she stands up, it's like, is anybody feeling particularly well? I feel like you took the lead before, Vega. How scary are you feeling for an interrogation?
It might be really nice.
No, that's true. I can actually, if someone else does the talking, I can direct certain things and I can make people a little bit more malleable.
Can we please just find out if they're a nice person before we start intimidating and making them malleable? They could be perfectly lovely and they're in a cage.
And I'll
People
be in the
shouldn't be in
background.
cages.
And I will be in the background, just as a menacing presence to loosen their tongue.
I've found that I've had equal success with trying to terrify people and trying to just talk them into things. So we'll just see how we go.
How about you take the lead and we'll back you up?
Thank you. It's certainly good to have the options, I suppose.
When we go up, can Jamie position herself at the back of the cage? Sort of on the 6. Can I get behind the guy in the cage, or is there no way to get behind?
You could like get behind the cage, but there's like a tarp over it, so you wouldn't be able to see the. Do you know what I mean? Like
that's okay, because yeah, I'll stand just to like the 45 of him from behind.
Cool. So you can still see them, even like through
see
like
the back
top.
see like the back of their head.
You probably see like the side of them would be like the.
As long as I can see the head, that's all that matters. And then you notice she sort of looked at Veracity and is like, "This is safe, I promise." And you see like she starts like almost playing like Play-Doh shadows, and like spins it, and then it starts to wrap around the hand and gets bigger and bigger, and then it like sort of flops on the floor and starts like almost like gooey going up, and then crawls up the leg and onto the back of the head of the guy. And I'm going to cast Detect Thoughts, just on the surface level for now.
I love that flavor.
It's a beautiful description.
Gooey.
As you sort of see this like black, as you see this like black, like sort of goop, as you say, like go over to their head, you see like the body's like sat down, and as you arrive, they start to stand, and as the like blackness sort of like creeps up their shoulder, they just sort of flick it off, and you don't see their head turn to you, but you just hear the words, "You don't have to try to read my thoughts for me to get in your head."
Did they cast counter spell?
Nope.
That was more flavor. It doesn't, you can't actually feel.
But they saw what you did. They saw what you did, and they spoke to you in your head.
I should have cast subtle spell. All right, I'll just cast subtle spell and do it again. I'll just use meta magic and cast subtle spell.
As you cast the spell again, they like come over to the front, and they come into the light, and you see a tall woman, probably about like 5'11"-ish. She's got dark short hair and these blue eyes, but they're like unnaturally blue. They sort of almost like sparkle like a rich blue color rather than like a nice sort of like sea blue. And she's wearing this like golden armor. Part of like the pauldron, one side of the pauldron isn't there, but on the other side there's like this large pauldron. It's kind of like a full plate armor that's been like deconstructed for more movement. And she looks around at you all and says in your heads, well, not what I expected, but there's certainly 5 of you. Aren't you finding it hard in the sun? And they point at you and say that out loud rather than in your head. And they point to you, Malice.
Oh. It's not great, but I'm managing.
So, are you going to let me out?
Why would we do that?
Well, I came to talk. Of course, if you feel safer behind the bars, then that's fine.
We didn't put you behind the bars. It's not really up to us to let you out. So if you want to talk, let's talk.
My name is Sitara. I am a member of the Eternal Army, and I'm here to collect you. You fight for the city, do you not?
We've been asked to.
Right. Well, it's about time you're challenged then.
And where will you be taking us?
Back to your city. Arkenhassa, I believe it's called.
I believe so. It's not our city. None of us have ever been there.
Huh.
As I say, we've been asked to fight on its behalf. But I'd like to know a bit more about the nature of this fight.
Well, it's purely for the city. At the end of the day, your people have been tested and found wanting, so you're given another chance to see if you can win back your city.
Just us?
It seems that this is how it's been divined. Your rules for this particular instance have been set.
By whom?
Our king.
Our? Sorry, I know I'm repeating a lot of what you say, but when you refuse to elaborate, I just really like to make sure that I understand exactly what I'm signing up for.
That's understandable. Look, I'm not very used to talking to people I usually outcast. Aminar is my king, and he has deemed it worthy to test you at this time. I am merely here to collect you.
To go be tested.
Sorry?
To go be tested?
Exactly.
Okay. You did say our king. Was that a royal we, or was that you assuming we also?
No, that was me and my people. I'm
Okay.
not that obtuse to assume that you would bend the knee for someone who has taken your city and, well, done it in a rather aggressive and... You see them stop for a second, not say something, and then go aggressive way.
I want to insight check that.
Yeah, roll an insight check.
So just
That
back in
20.
perspective- oh,
Yay!
25.
Natural 20.
Get a card. Get a card. Get a card.
Get a card. You get a card. You get a card. Add a d6 after making a skill or attack roll. Please add that to your list of cards that you can use.
Cool.
Natural 20. With that natural 20, this woman is not particularly happy with the situation she's in. She also disagrees with the ways that her people are being led. And not only does she do that, but you notice that it seems to be personal between her and the king.
Okay.
All that for a natural 20. I feel like that's quite a lot.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yes. What was the next question? Sorry.
Oh wow, I was just wondering because you kind of just auto failed both my rolls, and I wasn't sure why. But did the other one?
What you were trying? Were you trying to probe?
No, to get the surface thoughts, but you just.
She's saying her surface thoughts. She's thinking her surface thoughts.
Okay.
She's very much just sort of saying what she thinks and saying what she's saying.
I think I need some air as
Are you
I
hurt?
walk away from the group.
No, I think people would find it very hard to hurt me.
Okay, just wanted to check.
Well, hopefully you 5 won't.
But
So are we
you're
supposed to fight you? Or are we
Oh.
supposed to fight your king?
No, neither of us. You'll be
what
fighting.
about Trident?
She like comes really close to the cage, like puts her hand around one of the bars and looks at you and she's like, how do you know about Crichton?
I had a vision. I'm told that it came from Maglabayak.
Oh. She nods so solemnly. It seems like the gods are interfering with this one then. You hear detect thoughts, Jamie. Father probably won't be too happy about that. And then she says, well, it's only fair play, isn't it, that if we meddle in the affairs of mortals that the gods get to help you out a little.
Maybe with all this meddling, fighting for the city isn't the right choice.
No, but it's the choice that you'll have to do, unfortunately.
Why?
Well, at least it's a step.
Because your king says so.
Yes. And he gets what he wants.
Well, always.
She looks at you like dead seriously and says, always. And with that insight, Vega, you know that she has personally tried to stop something and she's had something taken away.
Tyrants often get what they want because of the fear they instill in people and the punishments they hand out.
Well, what one views as a punishment one day can be seen as a gift on another. And sometimes you just have to appreciate those things for what they are. Again, G, I'd say you recognize that as somebody else's words.
I can see you're very loyal to your king.
You stick together.
You said we earlier. Again, sorry. Love the we. Phrasing. I mean, in the context of mortals, and then we, as if you weren't.
You're an elf, right?
Yes.
How old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
That's very rude.
That's why I
Old
said if you
enough,
don't mind.
thanks.
Well, elves live usually around about 750 years. Correct? Around that time. How old would you say I am? And just at a glance, she looks about 25-ish, maybe 26.
But she's got blue eyes that look weird, so and also I was raised better than that. So Protea will fall back on that. I would never guess
I'm 467.
Oh. Is it nice being 467?
Feels the same as being 466.
I don't understand the point of a birthday, really. Anyway, fair enough. Was that a lovely way of avoiding my question, though?
My people live longer than the rest of you. A lot longer. And even some of your outliers that have lived for a very long time have not managed to keep up with us biologically, by design.
But then you must be quite young for your people.
I am. One of the newer generations.
Is there... Please forgive me, only the way you've spoken... Is your god your dad?
No. Look, this, and she like points to the cage. She's like, I was just doing this for them. Can we like make this a bit more casual? I feel like talking between, the cage and it seems like I'm more menacing than I am. Look, if I wanted to be out of this cage, I could be. I'm just asking politely.
But then why would you then say you were going to take us away? Because if we let you out and then we disappear, then we're in deep poo.
No, I'm not going to like take you away. And she's like, just like a scary like face. And she's like, I'm not going to take you away. No, we're going to travel back to Arkenhassa, and you'll meet our champion and you'll fight, and if you win, you'll be given the chance to free your city.
Well, either way, it'd be rather rude to shoot the messenger, as they say.
You'd have a hard time trying.
Shoot a cocky messenger.
What is the king trying? Sorry.
No, carry on. No, go for it.
What is the king trying to achieve with all this? I could understand if it was just a case of conquering a city and then you have a city. That's what tyrants do, but why this contest?
To test you. That's what we do. Look, are you gonna let me out of this cage or not?
Personally, I don't see why not, but it's
I could
one person's choice.
Is the satyr still around?
Yeah, the satyr is still around. He looks at you all like they've been watching this with like some serious like intensity, and then when you all turn to them and they're like, oh, I mean, if you think we should,
It'll be fine.
I believe that if they want to get out of this cage, they can. So they're just being polite in not breaking out themselves.
Okay, Flibby. And the gnome looks up. He's like, can we, and Flibby like walks over and he's like, oh, no, sure. Pulls out like a load of keys and is like, oh, sorry. And then this key like into like two other keys and they're like, right. And then they unlock the door, fold the keys back in, open the gate, and Hitara stands out into the sun and just sort of looks around. He's like, well, thank you. Great weather we're having. No, okay. Look, how about we find somewhere to sit, get something better than water and bread, and she like points down to the food that she's been given for the last few days, and come up with anything. We'll have a bit of a chat.
Uncork the flask that fills or whatever with one
The
of
alchemy jug.
the alchemy jug. I uncorked the alchemy jug.
What would you like to fill it with, I guess?
I believe there is beer or wine. Or
Let's get it
mayonnaise. Or oil.
Celebratory mayonnaise.
No, no, no.
Have a little mayonnaise.
I'll get it up now.
Chips.
Chips.
Chips. Chips.
Okay, so acid, basic poison, beer, honey, mayonnaise, oil, vinegar, fresh water, salt water, or wine.
Oh, let's have some wine.
Wine.
Do I get
Okay,
to choose which
gallon
kind of wine?
Yeah, why not?
Okay. It's
It's a
just
good
no, please. It's the family wine.
Ah, very nice. The 428th vineyard.
Sure, whatever.
Pulled that number out of my ass.
I was just going to call it. I was just going to call it the Four Seasons. But yes.
Ah, very sweet. No, that's very good. I like it. You pull out the Four Seasons wine. You find like a nice little space below. What was their name? Fliddled. Fliddy. Fliddy's tent. Fliddy gets you some wooden mugs, and you all sit down with Hitara. What would you like to ask Hitara next? You're asking about I think the specific question you had was something to do with why
is the king doing it? But
yeah. So why don't you ask that again and make a persuasion roll at advantage?
okay, so yeah, what does the king get out of all this? Advantage. Good. 19.
Hitara is sipping on some wine. She turns to you and she's like, very good. Our king, our whole people are made to test you all. That is our purpose. We were built to make sure that the balance of the universe is kept in check. If a place became too powerful or too weak, we would come in as either saviors or we would come in as destroyers. We keep the balance of all things equal. We work for every god, not just one. And Arkenhassa has been put on the list. It's been a long time since we've been out, actually. I've not really got to see that much combat, but my father told me a fun story about where he first saw one of those. And she points to your battle axe, Malice. But we dealt with that problem quite swiftly, quite a few thousand years ago. I think it was my great-grandfather that first fought with them. The UNT, I think they're called. But we have many other problems to deal with, not usually on this plane of existence. So it's very rare that we're on the material plane. We spend a lot of time dealing with a lot of gith, mind flayers, that sort of thing. If you've heard of any of these.
So, I've heard of some of them. I know they're quite dangerous creatures.
Yeah, and we essentially protect you all from these kinds of things. But again, when some of you seem to be getting bigger ideas of conquest, then we're here to just remind you that not everyone is easily conquered.
So if we win, we've proven we're too powerful and then you wipe us all out?
No. If you win, you prove that you are tough enough.
For what?
To wipe everyone else? That's very silly logic. If you're really here to help the weak and squash the powerful, then us proving that we're super powerful should not be a reason that you let us live.
Look, I didn't make the rules.
They're very silly rules.
But they've worked. At the end of the day, people are pushed to their limits. And when they're pushed to the limits, they show what they're made of.
Have you ever thought about not interfering, pushing people to their limits, making them thoroughly miserable, and then committing genocide?
What she said.
When natural destruction happens and people build back stronger, we don't look at the earthquakes or the forest fires or the phoenixes or the dragons that cause these things and look upon horror. And we just say this is part of nature.
I beg your pardon, we
That's
do look
not
upon
true
dragons
at
in
all.
horror.
And an earthquake is terrible. Just because after that someone's rebuilt their life and their city, you don't go, ha, the earthquake that killed thousands of people was a great thing. And also that was a natural accident, whereas you're doing it on purpose.
This is our nature. This is what we were built for by the gods.
I lean forward and I look her right in the eye and I just say, then why do you seem so uncomfortable with all the choices that your king has been making?
I had a friend once. He was my only real friend. But not many of us that were born at the same time. A lot of us have partners that live mortal lives. So when a few of us are born with the same blood, the same power, we tend to outlive our friends and family. My father had a general who had a son born at a similar time. And we grew up together. He was my best friend. But my father found out something. We were told that one of our people would be born of something else. Our descendants from gods. There was one god that one of us would be born of that would come. It was a primordial thing, something that shouldn't have been part of our creation. And when it would be reincarnated in one of us, it would lead us all, and we would destroy this world and all the worlds beyond it. And my father found out that that was my friend through many years of divination. So my father killed the entire bloodline. I may not agree with my father on some things, but he saved all of you. And she takes a sip of wine.
Gosh. But that means that you don't trust his decision-making. I don't understand. Which is it? Do you or do you not think that he's making the right decisions?
I think it's enough questions from you.
Me or everyone?
All of you. She stands. Are you ready?
Absolutely not.
You're truly trying to push us into a leap.
Take as long as you need. I've got a cage. She smiles.
Do Just a tip the next time we chat, being like, the reason that you should follow me is because my dad killed my best friend and his entire family. It's not the compelling argument you seem to think it is.
If you didn't hear the end of that story properly, he saved this entire universe.
I don't believe any person with power who murders people and then says it's for your own good, really. Don't believe it.
Sometimes we're left in shit situations, though. Because, unfortunately, he holds a blade over your city. Or this people's city. If you want to let all these people lose their city and lose their livelihood, then that's fine. But that's on your decisions as a group. I'm here to collect you, take you back to the kingdom where you can fight for your freedoms. And if you succeed, you succeed. If you fail, you fail.
And then you go back to some plane.
I go back home and live with my people for a while until we have to fight the next threat or save the next place.
Sorry, you worded that wrong. Plain God. That's what you meant to say.
Playing God?
That's all I've heard this entire
Oh, playing God. Sorry, I thought you said plain God, as in like
All
a
right.
plane called God. I was like, what? Sorry. We are God-born. And she smiles at you and walks back to her cage.
I don't like her.
She's horrible.
I mean, I don't like lots of people, but I really don't like this one.
Am I missing something, or is she just daft? I don't understand how, if she's here to keep things in balance and smite the too powerful and raise up the weak, how us proving that we're super powerful means we get to live. I don't understand that.
That's the kind of logic that gods often work with.
Gee, you rolled a natural 20 for your insight check, didn't you? Hitara literally was speaking somebody else's words the entire time.
Right.
You got the feeling that she was saying what you needed to hear. These thoughts and views might not be expressed right on social bias.
Malice. I mean, we've followed plenty of tyrants in our time, and at least they were relatively logical. What do you think about this whole thing?
I think I need some air as I walk away from the group.
I'm not that woman's biggest fan either, but what I will say is that I don't think she's ever had much time in her 400 odd years to be herself or think for herself. I don't think any of what she told us is really her own beliefs. It's the way she's been treated and basically programmed, I suppose, over her life.
To what extent is that different from any of the rest of us? We're all products of our upbringing.
Even if that makes her more easy to sympathize with, it doesn't change the fact that there's some slightly crazed, anti-logic, genocidal maniac going on somewhere. Like, my one experience of super powerful being who wanted to cause a huge amount of destruction, like, she was icy and horrible, but it made sense. It was evil and wrong, but it was logical. Whereas this is completely upside down. Unless it's just, ha 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 ha, we'll tell you this, so you fight your hardest, and then if you win, we kill you. But...
I mean, the good news is, we did learn that they're from a different plane. Not this one. And that it isn't often that they come to this one. And so that would suggest it's slightly difficult for them to do so. That's what I got out of it.
I got the impression they don't even have a choice. They get moved around by the gods.
A lot of people say they're the instruments of the gods when actually they're just nasty.
No offense, Vega.
I don't mean that they think they're instruments of the gods. I think that they have literally been brought here, transported by a god.
God should do a better job of explaining themselves.
Well,
Write a holy book. It's not that hard.
They're not really known for that.
I think I know someone who's quite experienced with speaking with gods. I might be able to go find someone.
Insight check.
I think your passive insight.
It was a natural 20.
Oh,
That was 28.
Let me
20,
get
nat 20, nat 20.
my card for you, Rebecca. You receive the maximum amount of healing possible from any one source. One being the keyword.
Greg.
If you could find someone, then it would almost certainly be helpful, I think.
The insight is Protea's older sibling. Kaimon is in this camp, and Kaimon is a cleric. I mean, you wouldn't get that from insight. I guess insight would be, yes, Protea is not lying. She is not happy about this, and this is not what she wants, and she's miserable.
Okay.
But that's the insight. There is someone she knows who knows
Do
religion.
you want company? You seem a bit stressed.
Oh, sorry, are you not? We're about to go fight some random...
Yes, no, but you seem stressed about not that, which is quite impressive.
Sure, why not?
I don't have to. It was just, if you want to go on your own, that's fine. You have people if you need them, and you look a little frazzled. I mean, gorgeous and glamorous and beautifully dressed, but also frazzled.
If you'd like to come, you're welcome to. I'm not hiding anything.
I will leave Protea to do it by herself.
Sweet.
Malice give off the vibe of like, just leave me alone, or was it could I go catch up with him later on, or was it more of a just leave me alone, I've got some work to do?
Yeah, it would have been just needs some time. You'd probably get that he's very conflicted and is going through a lot of somersaults in his head trying to figure things out.
Is there any particular? Is there any particular place that Malice has gone to?
I think he's just gonna wander around the tents for a bit, and then after a little while, kind of try and circle back to the big golden cage.
Cool. I'll say that you can go like right round so that when you reappear, you appear like away from your group. As you get near the golden cage, you hear in your head, everything okay?
Hi. First I just wanted to say sorry about your friend. That sounds really tough.
Thank you.
And
Again, this is all in your heads.
Yeah. And could we speak out loud if that's okay?
Of course. You see like the blue eyes flash in the sort of shadows.
Are you okay?
Why wouldn't I be?
I don't know, I've been involved in things that are bigger than me a lot. So I know how it can feel to be a cog in the system. And you don't seem to necessarily be doing things 100% that you want to do. You're doing someone else's will. So I just wanted to check in on you.
She doesn't look at you, but keeps an eye out on your group. At this point, I imagine Protea has left, so it's left Jamie, Vega, and Veracity sort of sat around this blacksmith table with this gnome, who's probably like showing you some cool gadgets that he's got. It's like a little mechanical horse that can like trot around the table. And she says, "Not everything lasts forever, even when you live a really long time. I'm 467 now, but my father is quite old. And eventually, when he passes, it'll be my turn to rule."
So you're just biding your time for something better.
Aren't we all?
And is this kind of vindication, cosmic vindication, what you want?
I see a world where the Eternal Army can live among everyone. You don't have to hide away on a different plane in paradise whilst the rest of the world suffers. You can live among you, spread out power, rather than try to hide it away. Our origins are quite messy from what I understand, and a lot of it rewritten by the winners. Born
You
of
talk a lot of your
gods.
people, but not what you want.
I want change. And she looks at you like, and then the eyes like flash again, this sort of like strong, purposeful statement.
I don't flinch this time. Can you foresee a situation in which you've put us in a bit of a sticky situation. I'm not confident we can win your challenge, but we're probably going to try. Is there anything that we can do, or any advice to help facilitate bringing this city to a positive conclusion, and maybe even to help you with your instigating your change?
Foresight isn't one of my abilities. However, I can tell you, you'll do best if you keep Crichton grounded.
Thank you very much for this conversation. It's been very enlightening, and I might check in on you again before we leave.
Thank you. It's appreciated. It's been a long time since I've had a friend.
I'm learning, but I think I can be a good one.
What was your name?
Malice.
Alice. What a lovely name.
Oh. What was your name again?
Tara.
I'll see you soon, Katari.
She like relaxes back, like nothing has happened. She keeps you cool. Protea.
Yes,
Do all the way through the market towards the medical tent.
Good.
And she's there, working on somebody else. She finishes them up and sort of like ruffles this young person's hair who's just come and scraped their knee. Nothing major. you see like a real brighter picture of your sister compared to what you were used to. She was always very serious and always very, very downbeat, very rarely joked. Here you kind of see her being fun and being like very, very upbeat. And you hear her whistle as she washes her hand in a bucket and picks up a rag to dry her hands.
I'm just going to stand there. And wait.
She turns and she's like, oh my God. And she runs at you and just hugs you and gives you the biggest hug she's ever given you. And she looks at you and she's like, what are you doing here?
Well, great question. I'm leading a group of adventurers, chosen ones, off to my death. So, what are you doing here?
Excuse me, off to your death? What? Come here, please. Take a seat. Come. And she like sits you down.
Sit.
No?
No. What are you doing here?
She gestures to like her hospital, and she's like, I am helping as much as I can.
We sent messages and parcels and letters and people.
Oh, the clergy make you sit in silence for years. It's part of sort of the growing process, so you're not allowed any sort of outward things. And I guess when I was finally given freedom to start working, I didn't even think to check that mother or father would have sent, or you would have sent anything. I just assumed nobody cared. I'm sorry. I should have looked. I can see how upset you are, and I should have looked. I'm really sorry. Please, how have you been? What's been going on? I can't believe
You just assumed? I sent you a letter on your birthday and on my birthday and on any special occasion. And you didn't get any of them.
At the back of the temple.
We didn't just send them to the temple. We put them in portals. We sent them to... Have you been... I'm so happy you're happy. I grew up without you. Now I'm going to have to leave.
Why do you have to leave?
Have you not been... Right, we are Maglabayek's chosen, or Protea's predators, or...
What?
Yeah, the name sucks, but hey.
No, the name's fine. It's very Theros, but it's not you. But no.
That's me and a group of people. Are you allowed to contact people now?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, I've just been.
Can you please tell them you're alive?
Well, they know. Mother and father know. They sent me away.
I'm going to roll a d20, if that's all right.
Yes, of course.
That's a 6.
Okay, what does that mean?
Protea changes seasons.
Oh, what season does she change to?
Winter.
Nice. Would you like to describe how this happens?
It's almost like she's facing her older sister who is in winter and has been for as long as she's known her. And it starts with the nose, the thing that's closest. And slowly this green and pink just withers. Instead of going straight to blue, it's like a flood of dying across a field, except it's her body. It goes pink, then russet, then brown, then grey, then white, then blue. And over the course of whatever Kaimon is doing, Protea now looks much like she did, but it's a fun ice theme.
Nice. Kaimon just watches and it's just in silence. She's just, yeah. Did they not tell you where they sent me?
No. I mean, not Theros. I hope not Theros.
They sent me back to the Feywild. They sent me to a clergy to sort myself out, I think was Father's exact words. And I did. No thanks to them. I did. Not them. And part of that was helping others. And it did take years. But helping others really seemed to help me. I noticed the more that I learned to heal and fix other people's broken parts, that the more mine didn't seem as broken. I suppose it was a way of losing myself from going home and dealing with them and talking to them again. And I suppose that's the real reason why I never looked for any letters or mail that they might have sent, or that you unfortunately sent as well with them.
Congratulations on being free. I'm happy you're happy. We need your help. Please, if you will. And Protea turns and starts walking back towards the rest of the party.
She follows. A few months pass. Malice, do you go back to join the group?
Yes, after another meander around. Just thinking a bit, but yeah.
No. And Veracity, Vega, Jamie, Malice joins you, and as do so, you are approached by two elves. One looking very similar to Protea, but a little sort of taller and stockier. And then Protea herself, but looking a little more like her sister. Kind of blue.
Blue.
Blue!
Blue. Great. I've found our religious expert. Please. This is my Adventuring party. Adventuring party, this is Kaiman.
Nice to meet you all. How can I help? There is an icy coldness in the air if you fathom the fun.
This is out of game. See, you remember the box. Let's just get to the point for now. Which I don't know if Jamie's the right person to do the getting to the point. We need any of your religious... Actually, there you go. I feel like you two should maybe powwow this one, because it's...
Why don't you have a seat, and I can talk you through where we're at right now.
Yeah. Pleasure. Lady? And the gnome's like... And she sits down with you all.
And yeah, so I kind of explain the story so far and talk more in depth about the visions that I've had. And mention I've never had religious visions before, never been much of an actual kind of god worshipper, and so don't know if there's like symbolism in the visions that I don't know about or whatever, and ask if she can explain a bit more, give her thoughts.
You share all the information, and she like listens very intently, focusing like completely on you as you do talk. And once you finish, she stops and she says, well, in terms of the way that gods innately work, you don't have to worship them to give them power, and thus you don't have to necessarily worship them to receive power from them. Gods work on portfolios, the sort of domains that they have access to. The larger the portfolio, the stronger they are. Believe it or not, Protea, the farming god, is one of the strongest gods in existence because so many people farm. In your case, I think your natural aptitude for battle puts you within the domain of Maglabayet. And maybe the ritual that you have also put you on his radar. There's also the sort of, well, theory, I guess one could say, of divine intervention and destiny. The idea that the gods can actually see the future, see the way that things go. So our destinies aren't really shaped by ourselves, but we're merely just floating along a string, a line, really. No ability to change it. And they can see that and take power from it and give power to it. And that's the only way that destinies apparently changed, is if the gods intervene. It's a very morbid theory, but it's a theory nonetheless. In terms of, and she like indicates to the cage, just very quickly, never heard of it. And I'll be honest with you, it sounds scary. She said she was, a descendant from a god? Or they were working with a god? What?
Reincarnated.
Well, gods come in avatars, I suppose, and those avatars are extremely strong. But that's the closest thing I've got to understanding what that is.
The Eternal Army? No, nothing?
No. Never heard of anything like that in my studies. Have you?
Have I?
No. Don't even have to roll for it.
No.
I'll be honest with you. It's all very strange. It's all very scary. What are you going to do?
Well, unless we can come up with some other way of freeing the city, then I think we're going to try and fight Trident.
As you say that, you can all feel this as the ground starts to like rumble beneath you. The mugs start to shake and fall off of the sides of the tables. You see Hitara get up in the cage and look, and you all look up to the sky as from either side of the camp you see these large purple worms start to emanate out of the ground. She runs out of the cage and she says, "You take the left one, I've got the right," and flies into the air. And that is what we're on today's session.
Bloody worms.
Foreshadowing always comes back, guys. So it comes back. Wow, thank you guys for watching a wonderfully dramatic episode today. There's some wonderful tenseness, intense. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for watching tonight's show. Thank you. If you did enjoy tonight, we do play every Monday at 6 p.m. GMT, BST, 10 a.m. PT, PST. We also play other games on other days. I haven't checked with my producer, so I don't know what's running at the moment. But we do have talks together on Saturdays. So please check out where we interview our players, DMs, and other TTRPG industry voices. All of our shows are streamed at twitch.tv/rolltogether, and you can find all of our content archived at youtube.com/rolltogetherrpg. There are also podcast versions of all our shows available everywhere, so search for Roll Together RPG and you'll find it. Massive thank you to our D20 club on Patreon. This couldn't be done without our wonderful dice heads. There'll be a link in chat now, so do join them. Every penny helps make this wonderful content with you wonderful play. Big thanks again to our sponsors, HeroForge.com, UltraPro.com, UltraWorldAcademy.com, and our spotters, D&D Beyond, Idle Champions of Forgotten Realms, and Warriors of Waterdeep, and Level Up Dice. So don't forget, we're all over social media as Roll Together RPG, and thank you guys for watching and being part of this wonderful adventure. Halfway through next week is halfway through. See you then. Bye-bye.